Growing up in the 2010s era had some ups and downs by itself. The 2000s internet always fascinated me, from YouTube poops to some of the best creepypastas ever made. I can go on and on talking about creepypastas such as Jeff the Killer, Eyeless Jack, Dixie Tubby, or even the classic Slenderman. But I think there's a creepypasta that's great, but always forgot about. Let me introduce you to 1999, or how some may know of it, Caledon Local 21. This creepypasta is my favorite. I personally think it might be the best, from the atmosphere it creates to the ending, leaving you wonder about it. So let me refresh your memory, or tell about it, in case you never heard of it. 1999 is a creepypasta created in 2009. It takes the form of a young man's investigation into a supremely bizarre local access television channel. He watched it as a kid in Canada. The year 1999, Elliot writes on his blog, had a lot of firsts. He lost his first tooth, he went on an airplane for the first time, and he experienced things no one should have experienced at all, let alone at such young age. At the time, you see, Elliot was incredibly interested in Pokemon. Like a lot of young boys, he watched the show regularly at 5 o'clock every night. The only problem is that he could only ever watch one of the two episodes aired at a time, because his father watched the news equally regularly every night at 5:30 p.m. Eventually, because Elliot theorized he was sick of hearing his son complain every day, he bought the boy a small television for his room. Elliot couldn't actually watch Pokemon on his dinky little room TV. It only got 20 channels, and Fox Kids wasn't one of them. In fact, his options were incredibly limited, with only 2 channels, TVO Kids being the only one he deemed worth his time. Until he discovered the local access channel 21, broadcast from the town of Caledon, Ontario, not too far from his city in which Elliot lived in. Its official title was Caledon Local 21. Elliot may not have known what local access TV was at the time, but he did know enough about what he was watching to understand that the quality wasn't particularly good. He was strangely fascinated by it though, so he kept turning into it anyways. Caledon Local 21 seemed to broadcast only a handful of shows, and it was only on between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. Elliot's recollections are hazy, but he recalls 3 shows in particular: Mr. Bear's Cellar, Booby, and Soup and Spoon. Mr. Bear's Cellar featured a man in a bear suit welcoming a new visitor, always a child, to his home in the cellar every day. Booby was some sort of puppet show, although the only puppets ever seen were plain human hands, and Soup and Spoon, which Elliot thinks might have been some sort of movie starring a soup can and a spoon. It becomes apparent as the older Elliot looks into the mystery of Caledon Local 21 that something very, very wrong was going back in 1999. Whether Mr. Bear acted alone or whether he also played Booby and all the other questionable characters wasn't clear. As a child, Elliot wrote to Mr. Bear when the television show prompted him to. His father, not suspecting anything was wrong, took him to visit when Mr. Bear told Elliot he'd love to have him on the show. And that's when they learn exactly what was going on behind the scenes at Caledon Local 21. There's much more to the story, including what happened when the older Elliot, having been too young to understand what the events of 1999 meant when they occurred, starts to try to figure out what exactly happened. To put it more short, Elliot finds that the guy behind Mr. Bear was an occultist. In the end, Elliot is shown a VHS tape of the kids from the show burnt alive in a hole, somewhere in a forest. We learned that Mr. Bear was never caught. Now, do you guys see why I like the story so much? It is built to look like a blog, only for things to take a dark turn. And the worst part is that, unlike other creepypastas such as Eyeless Jack or Slenderman, Local Caledon 21 is a story that can actually happen. For me personally, listening to this story as a kid had changed my view of horror forever. I will let you two links in the descriptions of this video, if you guys wanna listen or read a creepypasta yourself. And I will see you on the flip side, hopefully.